In an alternate world, several individuals are summoned to become heroes of the Reijseger kingdom. Among them is Tsuyoshi Mukouda, a seemingly ordinary man who, unlike the others possessing skills in swordsmanship and magic, has only the online grocery skill, a mysterious ability unknown to anyone. Upon meeting the king, the other three are appointed as the kingdom's heroes. Mukouda, however, is uninterested in becoming a hero and quickly senses the untrustworthiness of the Reijseger royals. Convincing them that his skill is useless, he accepts a sum of money to quietly disappear. To avoid suspicion, he changes out of his otherworldly clothes and stays at an inn. It is here that Mukouda discovers the true utility of his skill. It allows him to purchase food and other products online from Japan. Realizing the potential, he decides to leave the town as soon as possible. However, upon reaching the next town, Mukouda discovers that all wagons leaving the country are suspended. Further investigations confirm the royals are tyrants, prompting Mukouda to abandon Reijseger on foot. He visits the Adventurers Guild and hires Werner and his Iron Will adventurers to escort him to the neighboring Venan kingdom. Mukouda uses his skill to provide food, preparing meals on a modern camping stove. As they journey, the group confronts and defeats numerous monsters, with Mukouda using his storage skill to store the meat. One night, after Mukouda prepares a meat dish, everyone feels more energetic. Mukouda realizes Japanese ingredients boost health and magic, deciding to use only ingredients foraged by hand in case people discover his skill and try to take advantage. While enjoying their meal, something watches them from the shadows. Continuing their journey, during one of their nights, Mukouda's cooking attracts the attention of something lurking in the shadows. It turns out to be Fenrir, a legendary wolf monster. Drawn by the aroma of Mukouda's food, Fenrir demands to taste the dishes. And after devouring everything Mukouda made, he is so impressed that he insists on becoming Mukouda's contracted familiar in exchange for 3 meals a day. Mukouda tries to refuse but has no choice but to accept the contract. Calculating the cost of feeding Fenrir, Mukouda realizes he needs employment immediately. After successfully forming a contract with the Fenrir, Mukouda names him Fel. As they near the border of Venan, Werner advises Mukouda that entering will be difficult due to Fel's legendary status, which is sure to draw attention. They decide to take a short break, during which Mukouda asks Fel to hunt for food. Fel agrees as long as Mukouda cooks it, which also helps save money. Fel returns with a rare monster, shocking everyone. Once their meal is finished, they proceed to the gate, where Fel indeed draws attention and is stopped by the border guards. However, due to the familiar contract, they are allowed to enter Venan. Mukouda, lacking any identity proof, pays a tax to enter the city. With the intention of using his online grocery skill to become a traveling trader and see the world, his party members suggest he register at the Merchants Guild and also the Adventurers Guild to sell monster parts. They mention that he can join both simultaneously. Almost immediately, Mukouda receives an invitation to meet Margrave Lindell. He refuses, and Lindell's men retreat when Fel threatens them. After parting ways with Iron Will, Mukouda visits the Merchant Guild and registers as an Iron Rank merchant, allowing him to run a mobile trading stall between cities. The next day, he returns to the guild to sell items. He discovers that commodities like salt and pepper, which he purchased from online grocery for 10 copper coins, are rare and sells a bag of each to the guild master himself for 17 gold. Additionally, Mukouda decides to visit the Adventurers Guild. He joins to sell valuable monster parts left over from Fel's meals but learns he must complete 1 quest a month to maintain his membership. Opting to keep it simple, he accepts a quest to gather medicinal plants. Werner and his friends express their hope of seeing Mukouda again, already missing his presence and exceptional cooking skills. On the quest, Fel decides to hunt monsters and casts a protective barrier around Mukouda before leaving. Using his appraisal skill, Mukouda quickly completes the quest of gathering medicinal plants. He then decides to order some ingredients to cook food. Fel returns with several monsters and informs Mukouda that he hunted more but left them in the forest as he couldn't carry them all. Mukouda uses discounted ingredients from his online grocery skill to make spaghetti. While collecting the rest of the monsters, Mukouda is disturbed by orcs. Despite their more humanoid appearance, orcs are an acceptable food source even for humans. Fel starts letting Mukouda ride on his back, making him travel faster. At the Adventurers Guild, Mukouda collects his quest reward. Secretary Bianca, despite her abrasive personality, develops a soft spot for Fel. Mukouda then sells the monsters to the guild, surprising the butcher with the number of monsters he brought in. The butcher processes the monsters, allowing Mukouda to keep the meat and sell the rest of the body parts. The butcher tells him to come back tomorrow to collect his reward and also gives him some orc meat for dinner. After cooking a dish from the orc meat, Mukouda discovers that it is even tastier than pork, despite his expectations. The next day, Mukouda is surprised to receive 200 gold from the monster materials. The butcher explains that the value of monster parts is often underestimated by amateurs. With Fel drawing so much attention, Mukouda decides it is safer to claim that Fel is a great wolf, not a Fenrir. They decide to move to the next city. Due to his newfound wealth, Mukouda decides to celebrate by introducing Fel to Japanese Wagyu beef. Unfortunately, the high-quality Japanese meat boosts Fel's stats so much that he decides to hunt more monsters. While Mukouda sleeps peacefully inside Fel's barrier, Fel hunts even stronger monsters all night, including a rare orc general, an A-rank ogre, and even a legendary chimera. Exasperated by the number of valuable monsters he now needs to be butchered, Mukouda decides to never feed Fel Wagyu again. Mukouda grows curious about magic after watching Fel demonstrate his abilities. He discovers that he has a magic skill but doesn't know how to use it. Fel tells him that to use magic, he only needs to think about it. After a few embarrassing attempts, Mukouda manages to use magic, but it is pathetically weak. Fel insists that combat is the way to improve, but Mukouda refuses, afraid of getting injured. Fel, however, forces a protesting Mukouda to fight a goblin village. When the goblins start chasing him, Fel leaves him alone. Mukouda has no choice but to use magic to protect himself. After continuously using magic, he finally levels up his fire magic but faints from the strain, requiring Fel to save him. When Mukouda awakens, Fel rewards his effort by hunting a goblin king, which, while inedible, contains a valuable magic stone. Too exhausted to cook, Mukouda feeds Fel dessert pastries, which Fel likes despite initial reluctance. Fel reveals that he is blessed by Ninrir, the wind goddess, making wind magic his strongest element. Jealous, Mukouda calls out for any goddess to give him a blessing. Elsewhere, a goddess actually hears his request. To avoid wandering aimlessly, they enter a town to gather more information. Mukouda visits the library to buy a magic book and discovers that paper is rare in this world, and he also fails to get a map. The next day, Mukouda visits a pub and buys drinks for some adventurers to gather information about the kingdom. He learns that, due to the number of wars, accurate maps of the world are national secrets. He buys a map showing the general location of the kingdoms and their dungeons for 1 gold, but later learns from other adventurers that he was swindled since maps are a basic item available at all guilds for 1 silver. Having finally acquired a map, Mukouda decides to head east to a kingdom by the ocean. In the realm of the gods, goddess Ninrir takes an interest in Mukouda, curious about why a powerful creature like Fel, a legendary Fenrir, is following him. Meanwhile, in the mortal world, Fel and Mukouda arrive at a lake where Fel insists they rest so Mukouda can cook fish. Using his electric shock ability, Fel catches an abundance of fish. As Mukouda prepares a delicious fish dish, after eating the food he discovers a slime monster, which begins eating the packaging from his online grocery orders. Fel explains that the slime likes Mukouda, and in the world of monsters, this constitutes a contract. Mukouda names his new familiar Sway. Sway continues to grow by eating trash but levels up rapidly when Mukouda starts feeding it actual food. Mukouda trains Sway not to eat his utensils, and Sway becomes helpful by doing the washing up. The next morning, Mukouda wakes up to Fel telling him about a revelation from Ninrir. She offers to grant Mukouda her blessing to increase his magic and resistance to injury, in exchange for an offering of sweets once a week. Mukouda makes an offering of sweet buns and is granted the blessing. Ninrir, A young goddess with a severe sweet tooth devours the buns and begins sending Mukouda revelations every few days that are little more than lists of sweets she wants. She throws tantrums when he tries to stick to their deal of one offering per week. Despite the blessing, Fel is disappointed by Mukouda's slow progress with combat magic and takes him to a special area where his abilities should improve rapidly. Fel takes Mukouda to a recently appeared dungeon, insisting that Mukouda enter and fight monsters to rapidly improve his earth magic, specifically Stone Bullet. Mukouda, wanting to run away, has no choice but to enter, so he prepares himself by consuming Japanese ingredients for their temporary status boosts. Along with Sui and Fel, he enters the dungeon. Forced to fight without Fel's assistance, Mukouda gradually becomes more proficient with Stone Bullet, eventually managing to fire 3 bullets simultaneously. He also discovers that Sui is quite formidable in combat, using strong acid bullets to fend off enemies. As they delve deeper into the dungeon, Mukouda faces an army of kobolds. After defeating the army, Mukouda is confronted by the dungeon boss, the Kobold King, who is enraged by the death of his followers. In a desperate battle, Mukouda upgrades his Stone Bullet to Stone Cannon, managing to injure the Kobold King. However, he soon runs out of magic, and Sui steps in to finish the fight, killing the Kobold King and leveling up in the process. Exhausted, Mukouda passes out. When Mukouda awakens, he finds that Sui has grown stronger and can now speak in a childlike manner. Although they have both leveled up, Mukouda is disappointed to realize that Sui is actually stronger than he is. Fel returns from his hunt and demands that Mukouda cook something. Mukouda treats everyone to huge helpings of oyakodon made with stat-boosting Japanese ingredients. After finishing the meal, Sui refers to Fel as Uncle Fel, which initially outrages Fel. Mukouda makes fun of the situation, but when Sui starts crying, Fel begrudgingly allows Sui to call him Uncle. As they continue their journey, Fel insists on taking a shortcut through Griffin's territories, causing Mukouda to be terrified the entire time. Along the way, Mukouda and Fel discover rare healing mushrooms that can heal stab wounds and broken bones. While Mukouda gathers them, Sui starts eating the mushrooms and begins to shine, gaining a new skill called potion creation. Sui can now produce multiple types of healing potions, including one so powerful it can save people from certain death. A few days later, they encounter a griffin who challenges Fel to a duel to prove himself the dominant griffin. Fel accepts the challenge and wins, nearly killing the griffin in the process. Sui's new potions are required to save the griffin. Mukouda notices that Fel was also injured, a feat few have achieved, and the other griffins acknowledge that griffin as the new leader. As a gesture of gratitude, the griffin gives Mukouda a feather, guaranteeing him safe passage into griffin territory forever. Fel becomes furious when he realizes Mukouda has been forgetting his offerings to Ninra. After 6 weeks on the shortcut, they exit griffin territory and find a trading caravan under attack by bandits. Fel scares the bandits into surrender, and the caravan's grateful owner, Lambert, invites them to accompany him to Carolina, a city close to where Mukouda wanted to visit the ocean. Ninra later forces Mukouda to grovel for neglecting her offerings and only relents when he offers a huge selection of Western-style desserts. While traveling with the caravan, Mukouda learns that rumors of Fel have reached most of the kingdoms, which makes him fear they have drawn too much attention. That night, Mukouda's cooking for Fel and Sui attracts the attention of others in the caravan, and he ends up cooking for everyone, leaving him with only a little leftover meat for himself. Upon arriving at Carolina City, Mukouda visits the Adventurers Guild and discovers his Adventurers membership has been revoked for not completing any quests in over a month. After renewing his membership, he goes to sell the monsters, causing a stir among Lambert's guards by revealing all the high-quality monsters Fel caught on their trip. Mukouda decides he needs a promotion to F-rank adventurer for the increased benefits, which will make feeding Fel easier. Ninra makes her latest demand for sweets, scolding Mukouda for forgetting her again. The next day, Mukouda is forced to take a quest to fight goblins to begin raising his rank. Sui hunts a minimum of 3 goblins for the contract but goes overboard, having fun and hunting an entire goblin village. Mukouda feels uncomfortable collecting the goblin ears as proof of their quest. Sui evolves again, gaining the ability to alter his size or split into 100 separate slimes. Having hunted enough goblins for his promotion in less than a day, plus Sui's dramatic evolution, Mukouda worries they are drawing too much attention. Ninrir enjoys her latest offering of egg pudding, but her joy attracts the attention of other goddesses. Mukouda returns to the Adventurers Guild to report the goblin kills, shocking everyone with the sheer number of ears he presents. Guild Master Willem calls Mukouda aside and reveals that the royal family has granted Mukouda complete freedom within the kingdom's borders. In exchange for quietly assigning several troublesome monster-slaying quests to Fel, Willem promotes Mukouda directly to C rank. Mukouda then sells Fel's latest kills to the guild, but the Chimera and Orthrus are so valuable that the guild can't afford to buy them. The next day, Mukouda receives his new adventurer's license. With the money from the goblins and selling the monsters, Mukouda earns 2,000 gold, the largest single payment in the guild's history. Fel is asked to kill a mithril lizard and a herd of bloody horn bulls. Mukouda visits Lambert's shop and buys a nicer bag for Sui to sleep in, a knife belt, a wallet, and new boots. As Lambert is primarily a leather merchant, he asks Mukouda to sell him any high-quality monster skins he acquires in the future, especially from snake-type monsters. With an overabundance of meat, Mukouda cooks so much that even Fel can't eat it all. Ninrir gorges herself on the sweets Mukouda sends her but resents Mukouda's warnings that too many will make her fat. The other goddesses become intrigued by the otherworld food Mukouda is sending Ninrir. Mukouda and Fel embark on the quest to hunt the metal lizard, which they discover has evolved into a mithril lizard after consuming mithril ore. Despite its evolution, the mithril lizard is no match for Fel, who easily kills it. Mukouda also gathers some valuable mithril ore that the lizard had been eating. Fel then hunts the entire bloody horn bull herd with Sui's help. Upon returning to the guild, Mukouda surprises Guild Master Willem by presenting the rare mithril lizard. Willem explains that the city lord will undoubtedly want the lizard as a gift for the king, plus the location of the undiscovered mithril ore, offering 5,000 gold in exchange. After a feast of bull meat, Mukouda prepares an offering for Ninrir, only to be confronted by 3 more goddesses. They offer their blessings for otherworldly offerings and reveal that Ninrir had only given Mukouda a minor wind blessing, despite his lack of affinity for wind magic. Despite fearing the fame that would come from being the only living human with blessings from multiple goddesses, Mukouda receives blessings from the earth goddess Kisharil and the fire goddess Agni. The water goddess Rusalka feels left out because she cannot her blessing and receive offerings from him due to his lack of water affinity. She starts crying until Mukouda suggests giving her blessing to Sui, who has a water affinity. To appease the goddesses, Mukouda offers a bumper-sized sweet box for them to share. Mukouda and Sui practice their new powers, and Fel is impressed with their progress. While they practice, Fel goes hunting and returns to find Mukouda creating a small chamber with his earth magic. Fel reveals that he hunted down the snake monster Lambert had requested, adding to their collection of valuable monster parts. After returning to the city, Mukouda visits the butcher and hands over the black snake to be butchered. He then makes hamburgers. Deciding to do some merchant work, Mukouda visits Lambert to sell the snake skin. He also shows Lambert modern soap, shampoo, and conditioner. Lambert is delighted as he had been struggling to find a good anniversary gift for his wife. Mukouda learns that Lambert possesses a bathtub, a rare and expensive luxury item, and leaves the products with Lambert for testing. The next day, when Mukouda arrives, he is greeted by Lambert's wife, Marie, who is overjoyed with the products. Lambert buys them immediately as an anniversary gift for Marie, who loves the shampoo so much that Lambert agrees to sell it for Mukouda since he doesn't have a shop of his own. At the guild, Willem informs Mukouda that the city lord has paid him for the mithril lizard and given a bonus for the mine location, totaling 5,800 gold. Suddenly news arrives that a swarm of feral wyverns has attacked, injuring and poisoning many adventurers. Mukouda treats them with Sui's powerful healing potion. Willem then issues an emergency quest to slay the wyverns. As many adventurers aren't strong enough, Fel and Sui volunteer to kill all the wyverns. Mukouda accompanies them. Fel, Sui, and Mukouda find the wyverns and, with Sui's help, easily kill all of them. Meanwhile, Mukouda turns the remaining hamburgers into cutlets. Elsewhere, the 3 Japanese teenagers summoned as heroes, Kaido, Kanon, and Ryo, wonder what became of Mukouda with his seemingly useless online grocery skill and doubt he is even still alive. They also hope to one day meet the rumored legendary adventurer who tamed a Fenrir, lamenting that they do not have cooking skills. Mukouda and Fel finally return to the guild where everyone has been eagerly awaiting their arrival. Mukouda tries to sell the wyvern meat, but unfortunately, Willem cannot afford to buy all of it. Instead, he agrees to purchase half and offers free butchering services for the rest. At Mukouda's next offering to the goddesses, each one sends him a private message with different requests. Ninrir still wants sweets, Kishawa wants shampoo, Agni desires alcohol, and Rusalka asks for the same meals Mukouda feeds Fel. The next morning, Mukouda visits a store suggested by Lambert to buy a new bathtub. After purchasing the bathtub, Mukouda and Sway construct a bathhouse while Fel goes hunting. Mukouda finally bathes and feels refreshed. He uses the wyvern meat to make gyudon followed by stew. Fel returns, having hunted an earth dragon, and Mukouda finally scolds him for his reckless choice of prey since his item box is now full of monsters so valuable no one is rich enough to buy them. Since Fel is covered in dirt, Mukouda punishes him by refusing to let him have dinner until he has had his bath. Despite Fel's protests, Mukouda manages to wash him with dog shampoo. Once clean, Fel gets his dinner but is disconcerted when Mukouda decides he must bathe once a month. At the guild, the earth dragon is deemed so valuable that Willem dares not let it be butchered in case the parts are damaged. Instead, he tells Mukouda to visit Dolan City where the guild master is a dragon expert. This would also allow Mukouda to finally visit the ocean. In the end, after saying their farewells to everyone, they depart for Dolan City.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. If you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Until next time, take care.